Okay, what a great topic that we have today. It's all about peace. We hear this all the time. What is peace to some people? Well, if you talk to 20 people, what their definition of peace is, you'll probably get 20 different answers because everybody has a different idea of what the peace is. Like, for instance, from a personal perspective, when I'm on a motorcycle, I feel peaceful. I feel the wind, and there's no doors on each side. I feel free. So it's not the motorcycle that I am feeling the peace on. It's what the vehicle provides. All right. Another example is I could be sitting on a rock, just watching the waves on the ocean, and I could literally be there for hours. I'd lose track of time, where other people would say, "Okay, Tony, can we do something? This is really boring." So for them, that would not be peaceful. Golf is another example. Some people say, if you want to relax, just go play golf. But there are some people that end up throwing their clubs in the woods because they can't hit it right. And for them, it's stressful. And so all Spirit is saying, then get another hobby. If you can't manage yourself emotionally, then golf may not be your thing. So what is peace for you? What is it that makes it? Oh, another example, I just saw this the other day, and it reminded as I was a kid. Have you ever had fishing line all gumbled up and it's all in a knot and there's like 200 knots in it and it's just one big bundle of knots? I could do it for maybe 10, 15 minutes, but that would be it. I'd say, okay, that's not going to be very peaceful to me. But I knew a guy, our neighbor, and he could literally sit for hours and just untie fishing line, and eventually it'll all be untied. And for him, it was very therapeutic. So you have to find what it is that gives you that sense that you're leaving your brain for a second. Because really, in the end, that's what peace is. The vehicle or the item that you're doing that gives you that out of mind sort of experience, that you're not, it's something brainless. Some people will feel this. I feel this when I'm ironing. Like when I'm ironing, it's so easy. My mind goes in different places. I get the same feeling when I'm driving. I know how to drive, and all of a sudden I go into this other space. But I know my mind and all the senses are there, so there's no safety issue. But at the same time, I don't remember the last 5 kilometers I've done. Sometimes if I think about it too long, I wonder. But I know things are safe. So what is it that gives you this out-of-mind touch, that gives your brain a break, that gives you that peace? There's peace. Some people will say, and I've heard this on one of the social media posts, where this guy wanted ultimate peace in his life. And I heard Spirit laughing, and I go, "Oh, what was that? Why is that so funny?" Because ultimate peace means that he's no longer in a body and he's back in spirit. He wants to die. And I said, "Oh, I don't know if that's what he wants to do." But they understand why he's saying it. The ultimate peace is you don't want any troubles, anything to worry about. But there's nothing around us that has to do with that. Because as soon as you're in this body, there is always going to be something battering you. Someone's going to be pushing you, whether it's your destiny, whether it's you've been brainwashed by other people. There's always something that you feel that there's going to be stress. And so what is it for you that'll get you out of that, so you're no longer in that sort of space where you always feel stressed? I've met one person this week that was stressed just sitting, looking outside. I says, "What is it that you find peace with?" Well, like, do you have a bird feeder in the backyard? And he says, "Yes." I says, "Okay, well, I just want you to sit there and just watch it." And he says, "I can't. I tried that. I am so stressed because I feel I need to do something. I'm wasting my time," sort of thing. So you feel stressed doing nothing, just sitting? Yes. Says, okay, that isn't what Spirit has given you. Obviously, it's something that has been pushing you for so long, you just feel like you're wasting your time just seemingly doing nothing. In other words, something that doesn't require your brain is a waste of time. And Spirit says it's the exact opposite. Because it's when you get out of that space that you're more creative, more vibrant, more energy can come to you because you're dabbling with source energy. When you're always doing something, you're very human. So technology has done a good job on us with social media and all the benefits. I mean, I'm on it all the time, as probably many of you are. We're always on social media, trying to share our information, trying to show people what our lives are like, and maybe tie it into a little bit of our business and our industry, and just to sort of get that touch points, as they call it, so that people can recognize our name, they can recognize who we are, our reputation, and we work hard for that. So, Spirit has no comment for that. But sometimes it gets to a point where we're like Pop-Tarts, where if there's a notice that comes on your phone, you jump up and you look at your phone, right? And so when you get to that point where you can't even have a meal, you can't even play with your kids, you can't go anywhere unless you have your phone, that's when it becomes a point where we have total disconnection from other people, because really you don't have connection with people on social media. It's virtual, and there is a sense of connection, but it isn't really real in many cases, unless you know them and you've been to networking meetings and you've actually shaken a person's hand or patted someone on the back. There's been some form of connection at one point, then that connection continues on social media. But that's very rare when we look at that as someone who you've never met and they're in Utah, let's say, and you're conversing and there's things happening, but we're still lacking touch. We're still lacking being held. We're lacking human contact, lacking eye contact, lacking just being present with somebody. I mean, when was the last time you were relaying a story to somebody and, somewhere in the conversation, if it's in a restaurant or someone's home, they're looking over your shoulders, or there's something going on and they're looking around, not really paying attention to what you're saying. And how does that feel, knowing that there's something maybe a little more important than exactly this moment? And really your story might be 30 seconds long and they can't even hold on for that long. So what does that mean? It's just that it's, in many cases, well, it's not really their fault at the moment, because they've been so conditioned to be reactive to their phones. Something rings, we have to do something. Something happens, and so on. So it is a state of being overstimulated. And when we say that word, what does that mean to you? It doesn't mean that you're suffering from this, but ask yourself, am I overstimulated? Am I have too much going on? Can I leave my phone for an hour? Sometimes I'll jump on my bike and purposely leave my phone at home. It isn't easy, I gotta admit, but I do it just to condition myself that, I'm not gonna have a device control me. And sure, if something happens with my bike and I can't call anybody, it's gonna be a pain, I get it. However, if you have trust in things and you just realize everything will work out, then you'll come home fine. But what is it meaning about being overstimulated? Because when we get to that point, we often get sad. Because what happens is when we're looking at all the dopamines, the serotonin, all the other chemicals our brain releases, we almost get addicted to that. Somebody gives a like, yay! And in the beginning, when I was launching my podcast, I was looking at the numbers. Hey, we hit 1,000 uploads or downloads, and we got to 2,000. And then Spirit says, what are you doing? And it isn't the amount of people that are trying to upload the information that we're doing, and that's true. It is sort of a partnership. It's that you're so now looking at how many people are connecting to you. And that's not your job. Your job is that just to send out that information, and those that want that information, we will make sure that we connect that to that person, to that podcast, or to that piece of information. Let us be that sort of governance, because you can't force something on somebody. And just as a quick thing, my sister got a call or a note from somebody on one of the social media, and they said that, you have darkness. I did a reading on you, and you have darkness, and there are some things that we can do. If you can give me permission, I can slowly clear your energies and so on. And she said, no, it's okay, because she felt so confident in herself that she didn't get sort of sidetracked by the scare tactic. And that's maybe another topic that could be an hour long itself. But just so you know, when outside influences come in, then you're not only common sense, but also, what are you feeling inside? I'm not feeling there's anything around me. It's okay. And the person did refer to this as there's a curse on you. Someone within your family or friends have sent out a curse, and she wasn't really shaken. And I said, way to go, Maddie. I was really proud that she said that, because she said, well, I have a brother that takes care of all that. It's all good. And so she was very confident. But I can only imagine somebody who's insecure and is really receptive of this fear tactic. Oh yeah, if somebody's sending me that, let's clear this. And then we're looking at what the outside influences are that will bring peace to us. And that it doesn't happen that way. Peace isn't something that is going to come to you that way, because when we feel that there's such a lack of energy, we feel that we're drained, and we get caught up in not only in the technology, but just in the things outside of us. The last things that I've read regarding advertising and other things that's on social media, there's over 3,000 impressions or ads or things that we see about other people that we see every day. Every day. 30 years ago, that was 500. Now it's 3,000. And if you go a decade or so before that, it was like maybe 50 a day. So how do we get to 3,000? And sometimes we look at something so fast, we might not actually visually see it, or it won't register or decode, but your mind has picked it up subliminally. It's in there. Boom. There's Coke, but I didn't see the Coke bottle. It just was there. Somebody that's on an ad, just as a regular ad, they're advertising many things at the same time. The fashion, what they're drinking, what's behind them, the pictures on the wall. Your mind catches all of it. It's just like one big, but you might only pick out one or two things or five things, but the mind has picked out 200 different things that has happened in that same picture. So that's how fast it is. But when we are trying to keep up with this insane pace, we go back to this being overstimulated, and we want those likes, and we want the people to say that they like our work and they like what we do. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's when we get addicted, we have to have someone that likes us, or we feel like crap. That's sort of the zone that some people are in. They have to feel that they're liked, or they feel so bad about themselves. At that point, they feel sad. And then when they get something, then they say, I made this painting, or I did this, like my work, and then I can keep going with it. I see that all the time on Instagram. Like my pictures, like my work, and so on. And in the sense, and I could see they have 30, 40,000 likes. Well, that's great. But how do they feel about it? But if they are addicted to those, that's when it becomes dangerous, is because then it goes through a whole series of being sad. Then they have to go faster, and then they get more likes, and they feel better. Then they feel sad again. Then they go faster. And then there's this constant twisting of energy until they burn out. And some people actually get to the point where they burn right out. They're done. So when they overuse technology, where do you put your peace? What place do you put your peace? Because it has to be a thing. There has to be a moment where you just are in your element for even 5 minutes, looking outside or doing something, what other people say, that's mindless, that has no production measurement, has nothing to do with sales, have nothing to do. What do you do? I know some people walk, and I see, Cindy, she does her walks, and I love seeing those because it has nothing to do with what she's selling or anything. It has to do with her and enjoying and sharing the love that she has with the birds that's coming up as she's holding out her hand and they're feeding from it and so on. I get great enjoyment from that. And it's wonderful. But when we get to the point where we are addicted to that, And we have to do those things to get other people going. That's where the calm sort of leaves. There has to be moments of calm every day, somehow. I mean, some people meditate, which is great. Other people don't like meditating because either they say they fall asleep or they're not connecting, they're not seeing anything. Whatever the excuse is, it's okay as long as you're doing something that you're just switched off. Just switch off somewhere. Just say, okay, I'm done. I feel I'm at my limit. I'm just going to leave and I'll be back in like 20 minutes for a walk or something. Just switch off. Spirit says that is absolutely huge for some of the things that are going on. We get frazzled a lot, very easily. The littlest thing that happen, we get frazzled. And that's because we get brainwashed so much that other people want us to invest our precious energy on whatever they want us to do, whatever that is. And when we look at the various examples of that, we see that. But peace has to do with where you are focused and how you are feeling about that. All right? If you see yourself in the present moment and something that let's say it's something that you don't like, let's say it's where you're living and you don't like your surroundings or you don't like your neighborhood and you're always picking out things that you don't like because that's the things that now you're focused on. And of course, there's always an emotional response for when we focus on something that we don't like because we feel we have to fix it. You have to do something about it. But when we focus on something that is good, something that is magical, then there's not the same need to fix anything because you're in a state of bliss. You're in a state that I'm good. I'm just feel good in that time. But if you focus so much on your surroundings and you're looking at, well, I'm not really crazy about my present situation, so all I have to do, I can't go to the past because I can't change the past. So we look to the future. Maybe there are better days in the future so that we focus on that and we find that maybe by accident, I might find peace in the future. And Spirit says that's very dangerous too, because peace comes within you. If you're looking at the outside stimuluses of how your surroundings are, there's no real end to the misery. I'll give you an example. When you get off the plane in Honolulu, in Hawaii, the place is magical compared to perhaps where you might be living. People always are smiling. I've been there a few times, and there's just this energy when you get off the plane. Right away, the humidity and the energy hits you because the whole thing's on a rock. It's on lava that's coming right from the center of the earth, which is amazing energy. And you just feel this beautiful sense of calm. And you're looking at all the people and everyone's smiling. And when there's a traffic jam where the traffic's not going anywhere, people get out and chat. That actually happens. And so, of course, it's feeling peaceful when you're in that environment. And then people misunderstand that or they sort of misread it and thinking, this is paradise. I would love to live here. And I've heard of cases where people will say, I'd rather be homeless in Hawaii than have an apartment in New York. Because it's beautiful all the time and everything else. But Spirit wants you to remind you of something. If you are already poking fun or you're already looking for faults and criticizing your surroundings now, even if you sold your home and moved to Costa Rica or any other tropical place, it wouldn't be very long before you find fault there too. It's hot every day. What is going on with the weather? I can't go skiing. It's hot every day. I can't believe the neighbors. They're doing things. They're always yelping at after 11 o'clock at night. In other words, there's always something you're going to start poking at that is not peaceful. So the peace isn't a place. It is a state. Yes, it's a state of mind. It's a state wherever your head is and what you feel that your calm place is. We talked a little bit last week about the brain and the mind. They are two separate things. The brain itself is the physical apparatus we all have that releases all the dopamines, the serotonin, all the other enzymes and magical things that our body needs. It even knows that if there's one organ that is starving of hydration, let's say you haven't been drinking for a while, and there's other organs that have a little too much, the brain says, okay, send some of that extra hydration to this organ because we have to keep, let's say, the adrenals going, or we have to keep the kidneys going, whatever it is. The brain handles all the physical things that we have in our lives. The mind is outside of our brain, usually several feet outside and beyond. And it handles all the other stuff, the fulfillment. It handles the destiny. It handles all the software. And this is what we dip into when we want to create music. This is what we dip into when we want to create something that is not of this world already. This is why you see 6-year-olds that they're singing and playing the piano of Chopin. I saw one the other day, a 6-year-old just getting up, never played before, no lessons, and just starts doing Chopin. Well, it's not coming from his brain, okay? It's coming from his mind that's brought down, and it's several feet, many feet from his brain, and it's that connection that's always there. He's got that wonderful connection that he always has. So when we look at what happens with the focus, when we focus on our future, okay, and it seems like our present is a curse. Because if you look at it, okay, you're not really perhaps happy exactly where you are. There's a few things you'd like to tweak and maybe improve. And you're only thinking, well, in the future, I would love for this X, Y, Z to happen, whatever that is you may have as a goal or as something you would like to enhance your life with. And many times you're living there. Spirit wants to remind you that that energy is in the now, is in the present. So you're actually willingly disconnecting from yourself and disconnecting from spirit by always being in the future, thinking things that get better. And sometimes I just sort of cringe when people on Facebook and other social medias, they say, if you want to manifest something, look at the future, look at this house, go through the whole house and just envision you got all the money you've ever needed. And to a point, that does work. But the point is that it's not told of the limits that you need to do that. Some people, they would think they have to do that all the time, every hour, every minute of the day. And it's not. And literally, the best manifestors are the ones that just write something down and put it in a nightstand and don't look at it for 20 years. It's short. This is my intention. This is what I want. I'll make a list of 20 things I really want to have in my life, and you just forget about it and go about your day. And within 10, 15 years, and you'll find this note that you put away by accident, and everything on the list is there. I've never seen a case where someone made the time to write it all down and they just put it away. But if you're reading it every day and you're living it every day, Spirit says you're actually watering it down. That's why it doesn't work. And when people start realizing, hey, this isn't working, then all of a sudden they start planting doubt, uncertainty. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe it's me. Maybe everyone else is successful, not me. And you could talk until you're blue in the face that you could do this. And then they start other businesses, whether it's a multi-level marketing business or some other way to make extra money. That's the stigma, is that it doesn't work for me. And they're already going in with a preconceived energy, and it doesn't really work the same way. So there's just a quick exercise I wanted to show you here. If there was this one daughter that had a lot of doubt in her mind, and she was telling her dad that I'm really having a hard time in school, and there's a lot of adversity that I'm going through right now as a teenager. I just don't know if I can make it. And her father was a chef. He says, okay, let's go in the kitchen. So he takes out 3 food pieces. One was a bowl of carrots, one was a bowl of eggs, and some coffee beans. And so he puts 3 pots on the stove, fills it halfway full of boiling water, and lets them boil, and puts the eggs in one pot, the carrots in another, and the coffee beans in another, and boiled them for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, he says, okay, take a look at how the carrots worked out. And so she says, well, they're soft. He says, well, they started off as very strong, very healthy, very rigid, and now they're very sort of limp and they're soft. And okay, let's look at the eggs. The eggs were soft inside and not really any form to anything. And with the boiling water, they've hardened. They've hardened to the world. And taste the coffee. She says the coffee's amazing. So all the father wanted to show the daughter is that when adversity happens, every single one had the same adversity. They all had boiling water, all for 15 minutes, but each one reacted differently. And so which one are you? Because the coffee needs boiling water to create a great taste. It needs the adversity. And the other two reacted in opposite ways. One got softer in life and sort of retreated, and the other sort of hardened and it wasn't the same thing. So sometimes adversity will put you and turn you into something you never expected. And we look at that and says, maybe that's a bad thing. And Spirit says, no, the water is supposed to happen. And now we don't even think about not using hot water to make coffee, because that's the way coffee works. But we would never do that with any other vegetable. Think about it. What else do you need to put hot water in or some adversity to make something that you never expected, that makes something better? So coffee's that one thing. So when you ask yourself, you could do that in this meditation, which one are you and which one would you like to be? And sometimes the answer will surprise you. It says, well, I might be this, but I would like to be the coffee. And then your next thing is, so how do I get there? That's another question. And as soon as you ask a question like that, the answer is not far. But when we don't ask any question and we just think that everything is the way it is, I can't change the outside, so things don't change unless change happens and it's gifted to me. I have to do a windfall. Somebody has to give it to me for it to happen. In other words, change won't really work for me. I don't like change. Then Spirit says, you're right. Then none of that can happen, because it can only happen in the realm of miracles, or the belief that something outside of yourself can happen. The other part of it is, I want you to, we have maybe time for one more example, a quick exercise. I want you to just visually, just in your mind, you can keep your eyes open if you wish. I want you to just visualize going through your home in your mind and looking at the surprise factor. In other words, I want you to go through your kitchen, which you've been there hundreds or thousands of times if you've been living there a long time, and look at the fridge, look at the countertop. Okay, look at the floors of your present kitchen. Now I want you to walk through that and look at your dining table, or wherever you would eat in the morning. If you have a patio, you'll look out into your backyard. Okay, and I just want you to sort of soak that in, and I want you to go down one of the hallways, go into one of the bedrooms. Okay, look around, go into another bedroom, maybe go into your master bedroom, look around if you have an ensuite, look at your tub. I want you to just feel all these things that you're feeling. And then I want you to go into your garage, look at the cars you have in there, feel what that's like, okay? Then I want you to look at the laneway and the whole property, then your neighbors, okay? Now I want you to just, for a moment, ask yourself, how do I feel about this? Are you feeling, what do you feel about this? So I just want you to make a mental note. Now what I want you to do is envision a dream home, a kitchen, maybe double the size that you have now, massive fridge, big countertops, if that's what you want. Of course, these are all the things that we're assuming you want. You can do the same for a business or whatever. We're using the example of a house because it's usually very near and dear to most people's heart. So Go through the dining room. What would your dining room look like? How would you want the furniture to be? The living room, totally different furniture, outlooking whatever outlook it is. Maybe it could even be in a different city or something. What would you like to see? What would that be like? Then go through each bedroom. Would the bedrooms be any different? Would your bedrooms have a larger bed? Would it have more things in it? Would it have a sauna or a jacuzzi? Would it have, just all those things that you would really love to have, you've maybe always wanted to have, and now you're going through it visually in your mind. All right. Then I want you to go into your garage. Perhaps, is it any bigger? What kind of cars are in there now? Is it any different? Is there a sports car in there? Is there any other fun sort of vehicles that you have in there? What's your outside lot look like? Is it a lot bigger? How do you feel about that? What are your neighbors like? All right. Now now you've got the feeling of where your present home is and the feeling of this home. How many people had a surprise factor of the second home? In other words, if I were to say with your present home, you have a factor of 0. In other words, you're not surprised because you're in that home all the time. What is the surprise factor in your new home if it's 0 surprise factor, or 10 as a very surprised if somebody were to give it to you, or it would be at your fingertips? How many people would have that higher surprise factor? So you can give it a number. It could be 0, or it could be 5, it could be 10, whatever that is. Okay. Just to wait for enough time for people to put a number on that if there was a surprise factor. How many people had a higher surprise factor on the second one? Anybody? When they were looking at it, they were said, "Oh, that would be so nice." In other words, they're surprised of having such a beautiful home in their vision. Okay. Most people, when they are looking at their present home, they have a certain energy level. And then when they look at their dream home, everything heightens. He says, "Oh, wouldn't that be nice to have a bigger kitchen and all the description and all the features of this new home and their cars with all of that." Okay, so it could be a lot higher. Those that had that higher feeling of surprise, that either this would be great, Spirit wants you to realize that where you are living right now, because there's no surprise, because that is you. That's you. You've been in the kitchen 100 times or 1,000 times. You've been through the hallways. It's all about you, and you've manifested that based on the past. So everything you have now, all the things that you're open for, you manifested that years ago, and now you're enjoying where you are, but there's no surprise factor. So this is one of the things that I sort of cringe about when I hear people talking about, envision your dream home or your dream life, and then they do that and their surprise factor goes way up. Oh yeah, that would be so good. If somebody were to give this to me, I'd blow my mind, sort of thing. It would be so amazing. But you see, that's why it doesn't happen, because your future home is not you. Yes, you are amazed. You could be excited, but are you surprised? So many times when I've seen miracles happen in front of me. I've seen, within 20 minutes, a person that goes from a completely distraught position to one of empowerment, and now they want to do something. It's a miracle, but I'm never surprised, but I'm always amazed. So being in that energy that, no, I'm not surprised. If somebody were to give me my dream home, and it's a big one, I have high dreams, I wouldn't be surprised because that's me. But I'd be amazed. I'd be that would be such a great thing. So in your surprise factor, that is the thing where we have to segregate that a little bit and make it so that when you are looking at your dream home or your dream car or your dream life, whatever it is, make it so if somebody were to give that to you tomorrow, okay, that's good. You'd be happy, but you wouldn't be surprised because that's you. That's the work. And you're only going to get that work done in your moments of peace, in your moments of quiet, when you can get all those energies separated nicely. And it's not just about envisioning that you're rich and you have lots of money and you have lots of options, because when you tell somebody that I want you to envision that you're rich, and they do it, and they says, did you believe it? Well, no, but I did the visualization. I saw it. Okay. But it would never manifest, ever, because it isn't you. So Spirit wants you to realize that that comes in the moment of peace. That's when you are looking at the lake and there's no connection, and you feel that would be nice to have. Wouldn't that be nice to have? And it's all very soft. It's not this hard-lined thing that you're looking at all the time. Now, today's color is orange. And one of my first questions was, with peace, why is it orange? Because orange is usually connected to childhood and it's connected to creativity. What does that have to do with peace? And I had to write it down because I would have forgotten it. They said it's guilt, because orange also is connected to guilt. And that's where we feel this in the pit of our stomach. We feel guilty about something. And one of the things that is the biggest peace robbers that we find is the givers that give and give and give. They give advice. They give all kinds of free sessions to people. They'll give, if somebody wanted to move in, they give them a room. Like they're givers. And they are so giving that it gets to the point where there's a potential of other people taking advantage of that. And then there's a backward sort of energy that they start to resent the fact that they're giving, but they can't stop giving because that's what they do. They want to make people happy. Nothing wrong with that. But what Spirit is saying is only give of what excess you have, not the reserve you have in your energy. And that's right in that sacral area. In other words, if somebody wants something and you are totally exhausted, I can't do that today. I just can't. But the giver, the one that just wants to give without anything, they'll even give what they have as a reserve. And as soon as that person's happy, and happiness is a sort of a very subjective thing, because how many times have you given somebody fantastic advice and it did the opposite? Exact opposite. And it says, okay, why did they even talk to me? Why did they? It's just that we keep wanting to give. And Spirit doesn't want that to change. They only want it so you have an internal sort of a measurement system that I've given as much as I can. I just can't give any more because of my present, whatever you're going through. And it could be so many things. We all know what it's like to be overwhelmed with whatever we have in our lives. And so we have to check into ourselves. Am I prepared to give, or is it time for me? That's the peace. When you say to yourself, this is my time, that is exponentially so powerful that when you finally carve out that time, whatever you are asking about just comes to you, and it's just like water. When people talk to me, he says, Tony, how can you become so insightful? Because I have many moments of time where I'm mindless. There's just nothing going on up there. You know, the joke is, what are you thinking? I'm not thinking nothing. And there's a lot to say to that. You don't have to have always something in our minds. And then when I come back after that, even it could be as little as 4 or 5 minutes, I'm refreshed. And I'll have one client, and within 5 minutes, another one will knock on the door, and I have another one. But in that 5 minutes, I'm not thinking about anything. I might be going through various things, and I said, okay, it's just my needs right now, but I have somebody coming that needs Spirit, so I got to be available. So it's not about me. And so that is such a powerful, when you say, I need like a few minutes just to sort of get my head out of this thing. That's incredibly powerful when you can say that to yourself, that this is a me time. This is for me. Even the time that you've taken out of your day to be here, Spirit is incredibly honored, because you could have done 500 other things in this hour that we're together, but you've chosen to be here. So that's why they wanted to make it as such high value as possible. And in this meditation, we call it the moonlight meditation. It is a form of stepping back. When you look at the moon, it's all about this female energy that just wants to rest. It's all about stepping back. If you have a business deal that you need to sign, but you say, you know what, I'm just going to take a moment and let me just have some time to myself. If you can identify what that means, some people don't even know what that means. But if you've done it a few times, you'll know what that means, when you just need time to yourself. Sometimes when we're parents and we have young children and they're acting up, or they're, diving off the bookcase and they're breaking things, and I say, okay, I just need a moment. Any parent knows what that means. Is it just need even 2 minutes just to get out of the house, maybe yell at the bush and then go back in the house, right? And that is incredible, because you're doing that for you, because you don't want to yell at your kids, because they get the wrong idea and they'll hold that for 50 years. So you'll do other things so that the stimulus is not going to be the same. Mom or dad, it won't be in the same place once he takes care of himself or she takes care of herself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your energy. It's very precious. Okay, I want you to get comfortable. This is about an 18-minute thing, and I want you to take a nice deep breath. Breathe in the color orange, and this is this creative, very powerful. It's connected to water. It creates those juices of creativity that you will want to connect to find out answers to anything that is coming your way. All right, and so we'll see you in about 15 minutes, and enjoy. I want you to slowly come out of the state that you're in. Try and remember how you felt, what you saw. You got any messages? Take a nice deep breath. Just come back into the room. Just make a note if you feel any different. Do you feel more energized? Do you feel more calm? Do you feel different people will feel different things? Which is, by the way, your homework. What Spirit wants you to do is this week is to take 30 minutes of your time somewhere during the day when you're doing something mindless. That means no thinking of the kids, no thinking of work, no thinking of your business, any responsibilities. They want you to go into nature and just like feed the birds for at least 30 minutes. Or if there's a little body of water or a creek or something, and you see some minnows in there, can you watch the minnows for 30 minutes and just watch how they're dancing in the water again? And as soon as you think of business, you have to add on another 30 minutes. It has to be 30 minutes of uninterrupted nothingness, okay? Because it sort of forces us to realize that, you know, I want to focus on a chipmunk. If a chipmunk comes up and I can feed them and, you know, play with this guy, or if you're in the woods, and I know Cindy does this, she'll feed the chickadees and from her hands. And, you know, sometimes you can do it for, I guess, quite a long time. Her videos are relatively short, 10, 15 minutes, maybe, I think, or something like that. But she could be there literally for 30 minutes and just entertained by the birds. That's what Spirit wants, so that you can decide that it's a me time and you totally switch off. There's nothing else going on, something mindless. So watch the fish, watch the birds, and or just watch people. And don't judge anybody, just watch and have nothing in your mind that you have to go back to work or anything like that, okay? So that's your homework, and let's see how that works out, all right? I saw this one video which really touched me, and it was this little boy in a creek, and the way that looks like he was at a summer cottage somewhere, and it was on rock, and it was pooled up in this little area, roughly, I would say, a foot of water, maybe not even a foot of water. And it was filled with minnows, and it was sitting in the middle playing with minnows for hours. Like his hands were all like prunes, you know, and it just played. And it's something that's so healthy for kids to be able to switch off and connect to nature. You're in water. It's the most conductive substance on this earth is water. It's a great conductor, and you're connecting with fish, which are underwater, which are animals, and you're just playing with them. And I can't even describe how healthy it is. There's like 30 different health benefits, you know. But when that child gets to a point where they have to think, they'll be on the ball. They're less likely to misbehave. They're less likely because they're connecting to themselves. They know who they are. They're not pushed and expected anything of. Nothing was expected. And the person filming was probably a family member, but they didn't care. They didn't care what the child was doing. They just, okay, as long as it's safe, he can do what he wants to do, sort of thing. So that's your homework for this week, okay? So hopefully this was a valuable class for you today, and have a good weekend. Okay, so you can do that for this week. And this week, pretty much we have to look at just stepping back and try not to make decisions, or if someone's forcing you to make a decision, whether it's a business deal or whether even if it's something like you're supposed to figure out what you want to do in life. What Spirit is saying over the next few days, and I don't know why, because it's the full moons must be today, or there's a full moon out, and that's usually a time of moving forward. But somehow, because of the energy of the earth, Spirit wants you to just hold off and just collect data. Just collect data. In other words, there's no rush to make a decision. So if this means something to somebody, that's great. Sometimes we are pushed and we're stressed that we don't know what to do, or we we figured we need to work on something and we need to make a decision. The answer is no. No. This is a time of data collecting. You just collect data and just add it to whatever it is to you do. After 5 days, so what would that be? That's next Wednesday. Then you'll have most of the information that you'll need. Then after that, if you feel that, okay, I'm making the right decision, you can go forward. But if you're in an uncertain position right now, Spirit just says, relax. It's all good. Remember, take the time if you need the time. Some people feel guilty. This is going back to the reading itself. I don't know if you can see this. Okay, I don't know if you can see this, but the card reads guilt. And people feel guilty that they should be making a decision from other people because they're pushing them and they don't know what to choose. And this is where you say, no, I need some time. Just hang on. All right. And if you could do that, that is massive. Okay. That is massive. So just don't feel guilty. It's still a data collecting time. And then when you're sure and you've done your meditation, you've done your research from a cognitive position itself, so things will make sense. And then once you get the okay, then you'll just feel right. Because here's what you want to avoid. I'm sorry I'm keeping you for longer, but here's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid making a decision, and then 2 seconds later, you're going to regret, oh, is that the right one? Right? That's what happens. So no rush to make a decision. If it's life-changing, if it's something that's a big deal, take the time. So by the time you say, yes, I've made a decision, it's rock solid. It doesn't move. If we make it too soon, the moment we make a decision, we feel maybe the other way should have been the one we should have done. Because usually it's a decision of 2 things. It's never a decision of 10 things. It's usually 2 or 3. No, but usually 2. Like 80% of the time or 90% of the time, it's 2 things, whether I'm going to university or I'm going to work, whether I am going to stay home or I'm going to have a career, whether I'm going to have a business or work for somebody else, right? There's 2 things. So no rush, no rush. You'll feel it and the synchronicities will come. And as soon as you send it out there, okay, Spirit, just send me whatever I need so I can feel that I'm making the right choice. I feel that I need to go this way, but I just want to make sure. I'm not uncertain. I'm just making sure my clarity is better. That's the best way to say it. By saying that I'm unsure, not sure, that just shows that, oh, okay, well, we got to go back to square one. And no, it isn't like that. You could say that I am getting that I need to go for my career and hold off on having children. That's what I'm getting. But I'm just out of clarity, I'm just asking, is that the way to go? Because this is what I'm feeling. So that's different than just not being sure, right? You'll have have a 3/4 of the decision making that you pretty well know, but there's still some doubt. So just say that, okay, I just want to make sure I'm clear. That's it. That way, when you make a decision, there's no regret. Then it's rock solid. And then you've done everything that you could have. All right. So sorry I kept you for so much longer, guys. And thank you so much. This is a real honor for me to be able to relay this to people that are looking for these kinds of insight for everything. And I'm just gonna. So if you're looking for any additional help, give me a call. Some things that are very specific. If you have any questions, just post it on the Facebook site. Okay, the Facebook site is listed there, and you can just post it to the whole group. That way, it won't cost anything, right? If it's something more personal, we got to get into it, and it's personal. Then we'll talk. But most times, you might have just a general question about energy, about when people say you have dark energy around you. That's silly, that went out, I thought 30 years ago, but I think people are still connecting to that. But if you have any questions like that for the benefit of the group, then put it on the Facebook site and I'll be glad to answer it. Okay. Okay. Take care, guys. I love you all.
Thank you, Tony.
Talk to you next week.
Love you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tony.
Happy birthday.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Have a nice day.